This is the Grow Your Clinic podcast from Clinic Mastery. We help progressive health professionals to lead inspired teams, transform client experiences, and build clinics for good. Now, it's time to grow your clinic.
Welcome back to another episode of the Grow Your Clinic podcast. My name is Jack O'Brien, your host, and today we have a very, very special guest. I am super honored to have Michalowicz joining us on the Grow Your Clinic podcast. Mike, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jack. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
It is our pleasure. For those who have probably been living under a rock and haven't heard of Mike, Mike is the entrepreneur behind the 3 multi-million-dollar companies and is the author of Profit First, Clockwork, The Pumpkin Plan, and his latest book, Fix This Next. And they're all fantastic books. Mike is a former small business columnist for the Wall Street Journal, regularly travels the globe as an entrepreneurial advocate. Mike's book's been translated into over 20 different languages. The books have been foundational for me personally, and we often recommend these books specifically to our clients. Mike, like children, if you had to pick a favorite, which one is it?
Yeah, I think it's The Pumpkin Plan. I had so much joy writing that and now reading it. Honestly, I'm going through a reread right now. We're hitting the 10-year anniversary of that book. So my publisher invited me to reread the book to introduce new concepts and stuff. So I'm reliving the book right now. It's just fun to revisit that.
Yeah, right. I like it. Well, before we dive into the nuts and bolts of some of your theories, philosophies, and books, I've got a couple of icebreaker questions for you. Are you ready?
Sure. Lay it on me, brother.
All right, here we go. What are you reading or learning right now apart from your own book?
I just finished last week Talking with Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell, and I just started Extreme Ownership. Both phenomenal books. I am a reading advocate. I love business books. I can't get enough of them.
That's so good. I'm a huge Jocko fan of Extreme Ownership. So that's awesome.
Really fascinating stuff. And what I'm hearing over and over again is any problem in the organization is the sole problem of the leader. And it really is really insightful as I investigate my own business. Any problem I have is mine.
Love it. Number 2, who inspires you?
The everyday entrepreneur. And I'm putting air quotes around that because I think those are the superheroes of our planet. To me, it's a little bit of a shame when I walk through a airport or something and I see the magazine stand with all of these successful entrepreneurs that we see on the cover of Inc. magazine. But really, to me, the true success are the stories you never hear. It's these small businesses that are relentlessly passionate, consistently servicing their clients, that are the real inspiration. To me, the ones on the cover of the magazine, in some cases, are the lottery winners. And I'm not saying they don't deserve their success. I think it's phenomenal. But to me, they aren't the real, typical, common superhero that I see every day. So I'm very inspired by the small business owners I meet day in and day out.
I love that. Number 3, what did you want to be growing up as a child?
A garbage man. I really did. I remember.
Really?
Yeah. I thought it was so cool. I remember going to school on the school bus and you see this garbage truck go by and there's a guy hanging off the back. I'm like, that is so cool. That's so cool. And I still have a little bit of an aspiration to do that. Like, listen, I wasn't sitting there saying, oh, I can take away refuse and I can, help provide for a greener world. Like, I was a kid and I'm like, I want to hang on a truck. And I still kind of want to hang off the back of a truck. So if there's any refuse management firm that's willing to take me just for a day ride, I don't think I'd be good for doing that for a career, but a day or two, like I'm in.
I like it. Well, they take 2, so I'll come and join.
Okay, cool.
And finally, Mike, what's a motto that you like to live by?
There's a saying from Oscar Wilde. He says, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. And that just lands with me. I spent a good portion of my adult life in my early stages as growing businesses, trying to play a part, trying to pretend to be something that I assumed my customers would want. And ever since I discovered that saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all about really amplifying our true natural self, putting ourselves out there. And that will serve the right people. It'll turn off the people that aren't a fit, but it'll also serve the people who are. So I try to live by that.
And I would say that resonates as I've followed your journey. You've got a personality, which is a pleasant change sometimes. And you really embody yourself. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing
Thanks,
that.
Man. Thanks.
Now, Mike, I want you to step us through the journey from being the wannabe garbage man through to being a Wall Street Journal and a couple of businesses in between. Can you paint us the picture of how you've got to where you are today?
Yeah. So the real quick story is after I graduated from university, I couldn't get the job I wanted, my dream job. So I worked for a local computer store. So I was there for a short period, not even 2 years, and just hated the fact that I had to work so hard and the boss was in the back counting money. At least I presumed that's what he was doing.
Right.
So I quit. I didn't realize that the boss was not there counting money. He was panicking about paying all the bills and managing the operations of business. I didn't appreciate what it means to be a business owner. I thrust myself into it, started my own computer business. Fear really drove me to be successful, but also frugality was important. I started my first business when I was 23. My wife and I already had been married, and I had a 2-year-old son at the time. So,
Wow.
we were raising a family and trying to run a business, and that fear is a great motivator to get things done.
It is.
And subsequently, fear became confidence, and confidence became aspiration. I was able to sell that business. I started another business in computer crime investigation. We won or landed one of the biggest trials going on in the U.S. It was the Enron trial. My company was one of the investigators in that firm forensically, and it was put on the map. That company exploded, and I sold that to a Fortune 500. I think the most interesting part of my story, though, is not those. It is my third company as an angel investor, and I sucked at it. I was horrible. All the wealth I'd accumulated, I blew away just out of arrogance and ignorance. And it was in that part of my life's journey where I had to have a restart. I actually went through depression. I saw myself as the biggest failure on this planet, and also challenged my notions around what successful entrepreneurship was. It's not about getting rich quick, taking shortcuts. It's about disciplined focus on being of service to our community, our clientele. It's about understanding how profitability works, making it into a habitual process. It's about learning so many more things, and that ultimately fueled my subsequent businesses and being an author. I became an author specifically to fix all the errors and mistakes I was making. And hopefully my books, as I read them to selfishly serve my own interest, was to also be service of other entrepreneurs who are struggling. I really want to simplify the entrepreneurial journey. And that's who I am today. And I believe until my final breath on our planet that I will be writing books that are hopefully of service to fellow entrepreneurs.
That's awesome, mate. And I'm thinking about the listeners, clinic owners, therapists that are serving their patients and clients. And I reckon that'll really resonate. We're in the lifelong pursuit of helping people achieve their ideal health outcomes and create amazing experiences. So I think you're perfectly positioned to speak to our listeners. So,
yeah, and it's funny, like therapists provide such a impactful service. Like you are out there providing for the health, the mental, the physical health of others. Your success is paramount. And that's what frustrated me. My own business, but so many entrepreneurs I have studied now, we are out to do such good things, but we can't care for ourselves. We can't care for the business. And when we're stuck in that struggle, we can't bring the best of ourselves to clients. So for me, it's very compelling to be of service to fellow entrepreneurs. So we can make some money, so we can have stability, so we can live a life of comfort, because when we're comfortable, we can be of our greatest service to others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's filling your own cup. And so I'm fascinated by your most recent book, Fix This Next, because we as health professionals spend most of our days, again, in air quotes, fixing others.
Totally.
It's a collaborative process. I'm mindful of there's some debate around whether we fix people or help people fix themselves. But,
I hear you. That's true for all business.
It is, right? So can you talk to us through the hierarchy that you paint a picture of in Fix This Next?
Yeah. So as I was writing that book, the thesis I was based on was that I am convinced now that the biggest challenge entrepreneurs face, biggest challenge business owners face, is knowing what their biggest challenge is.
Right.
In other words, we are simply going after the next painful thing, right? Whatever's hurting in the moment, just fix that. But in therapy that the root cause is not consistently the symptom, right? So we have a symptom here, but the problem there. Well, in business is the exact same way. There's this constant stream of symptoms. There's this constant stream of fires that we need to put out all over the place. Yet our business seems to take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. We're constantly stuck. Well, the reason is we're not able to pinpoint what really is the root cause. And if we don't know what it is, we'll never move our business forward. What I also found is that many entrepreneurs, myself in particular, I relied on my gut instinct. Oh, we got to start marketing on Facebook. You know what? I feel that we have a problem with sales. We need to amplify that.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that we are not neurologically wired into our business. We're neurologically wired into ourselves. Like if I walk down a dark alley and all of a sudden I get the creeps that someone's going to kill me, I should turn away and run, because those triggers are my senses, which are wired into my body neurologically, and those senses are triggering a gut feel. Right. Well, we're not wired into our business. So when I get this feeling that we should be marketing on Facebook or doing something, it's not because my senses are triggering that. It's just my assumption. And I'm taking actions that may be not moving the business forward. It may be the 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. The business hierarchy of needs is a way to pinpoint where we need to sit, where we need to take action within our business. Mm-hmm. There's 5 levels. I did translate Maslow's hierarchy of needs into a business hierarchy of needs. And this is with the 5 levels. The base level need for every business is sales. Sales is the creation of cash. It is the air or the oxygen for a business. Without it, a business suffocates. But it alone does not support a business. The next level up is profit. Profit is equivalent for protection for business. It's the creation of stability. And it's actually at these 2 levels that many businesses are already confused. I can't even count how many businesses say, we have a problem. The owner's not taking enough money. We're surviving check by check. The solution is we need to sell more, which basically means the business has no shelter or protection. We're getting hit by a monsoon and it's destroying us. And our solution is going to be to sell more, which means breathe more. We're going to take in more oxygen, hoping it gives us shelter, which makes no sense. But because we're not biologically wired into our business, when we have a profit problem, many businesses actually focus on a sales resolution and get further entrenched and stuck. Mm-hmm. The next level above profit is called order. Order is the creation of efficiency. The ultimate acid test is, can the business run in the absence of the owner? That's usually a efficient business. Next level up is called impact. Impact is the creation of transformation. It's where we realize you're not transactional with your clients, you're translational for your clients, meaning you're giving them a sense of community. You're affecting their life in a positive way outside of the transaction or the service you provide. And then the highest level is called legacy. Legacy is the creation of permanence. And this is where we develop our business to have permanent impact beyond the life of the owners and founders and leadership.
That's awesome, mate. And certainly as you explain those first couple of levels, I think about some of the clinics that we work with who feel like, they just need more new clients. They need more sales. They need to do the marketing, when the reality is, like you say, it's a profit problem, which often in the healthcare space is a client experience issue. We're not able to retain our clients and deliver experiences that create raving fans, because that's often when clients become more commercially profitable for a clinic. So that's interesting you talk about that. So when we touch on that second level of profit, that links to your profit first kind of philosophy. Can you talk us through how you've broken down the profit equation?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I was investigating the profit level, and I wrote Profit First before I wrote Fix This Next, right. I was investigating this level, and I found that the vast majority of businesses globally, small businesses, and there's 180 million of us. Small business defined by US standards is a company that does $25 million in annual revenue or less. Mm-hmm. I suspect that's almost everyone listening into the show. It's absolutely my business. And what they found is that small business, 83% of these businesses are surviving check by check. So it means the majority of folks that are listening in right now don't have enough income to pay next week's payroll, rent, let alone the owner pay themselves, without substantial immediate sales. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, wow, why do so many businesses struggle with profit? Even though the primary reason that you and I and everyone listening in started our business is in part for financial freedom. Hopefully we do it, gives us joy, but we do it for financial freedom, yet we don't experience it. First, I thought there was something wrong with us. What I've discovered is the foundational formula for profitability is flawed. Sales minus expenses equals profit is the traditional formula. Turnover minus expenses equals profit. The problem is this, is that profit comes last. And it's human nature. When something comes last, it means it's not considered today. It can wait. It's the mañana syndrome. Mm-hmm. So most businesses wait until the end of the year to see if they're profitable. When they're not, they say, damn it, maybe next year. And we constantly delay the consideration of profitability, surviving check by check. What I do in the Profit First model is I flip the formula. It's sales minus profit equals expenses. What I mean by this in execution is simple. It's this. Every time that revenue comes into your organization, every time you have a deposit, you immediately take a predetermined percentage of that money, allocate it toward profit, and then the remainder is what you have available for expenses. It's the pay yourself first principle applied to business.
Mm. And I know that shifted my mindset and so many other clinics that we've worked with. It's that principle of Stephen Covey's begin with the end in mind, right?
Yes.
What is the outcome that we're looking for from our clinic? What is our profit target? And let's reverse engineer how our expenses or investments can fit into that. Now, if I can press on one question that I've had around this model, is there a difference between expenses that are mandatory overheads or expenses that actually generate further revenue and profits? How do you differentiate those type of expenses?
Yeah, well, I would argue every expense needs to drive revenue and profit.
Sure.
If we're incurring expense that doesn't do that, the question is, why are we incurring that expense? Often, and I've done that many times, it's satisfying ego. So I say, oh, you know what? We need to get new office furniture. Why? Oh, I want the space to look nice. I want to look, good for me. And there's no benefit. Now, another consideration, look at office furniture. If I bought office furniture and said, it'll make my team more efficient, we can be more productive because you're not, this stuff is laid out well in front of you, or whatever the good reason is, and I have a high degree of confidence that'll drive profitability and revenue, well, that's a good decision. So I would argue every expense we have should be designed to drive revenue and profitability. Now, just different degrees. Furniture is different than a marketing message, theoretically. Right. Sadly, many businesses go into marketing and make less money than if they simply bought the furniture. They run these arbitrary ads that drive no benefit. So everything we look at, we need to do some form of ROI calculation. And I'm not looking at this to be a laborious activity. I just want to put thoughtful consideration in, are we buying something simply because it satisfies me, or is it really something that's going to drive benefit to the company? And by the way, it's okay to treat ourselves too. So I'm not saying that we have to disregard those other expenses, but we need to really categorize the true benefit. And then if we start doing that, the majority of expenses we incur will drive benefit to the company of revenue and profitability. And all the expenses, regardless of what they do come out of a single account in the profit first method. It's the OPEX account.
Mm-hmm. Love it, mate. It's such a key principle, I think, for small business owners to wrap their head around is profit first. If we look back to the business hierarchy of needs, you touched on sales, profit, and then order, which links in nicely with your book, Clockwork. What are some of the steps involved in creating a business that runs like clockwork without the owner?
Yeah. So first of all, it's to move from the concept of being a doer to someone that's a designer. Mm-hmm. Most small businesses, the business owner is acting like a superhero for the business. We bear the weight of the business on our back and we sludge forward, but we also feel that we are being a hero for our business because we can swoop in and fix anything. We need to shift that mentality. The true definition of an entrepreneur is someone who has clarity on the outcomes they want and then choreograph the resources around them, which are employees, technology, vendors, even the clients themselves, organize them collectively to achieve the outcome we envision. That's what a designer does. So first of all, we need to have that mind shift. One of the easiest, most actionable things you can do is start changing your label. And you can try this next time you're at a cocktail party or something. But when you're out with friends and they say, hey, what do you do? Instead of saying I'm a business owner or an entrepreneur, which by definition now means that you hustle and grind, you are a doer, you are a superhero, I challenge you to use a new title. Next time you're out, say, I'm a shareholder in a small business. You will get people looking at you oddly, curiously, and what the hell are you talking about? The first time I did it, I was like, what did I just say? But here's what a shareholder does. I own some shares in a public company. It's Ford. When Ford sends their stock distribution, I don't say, hey, I got to come down to the factory now and earn this. No, I don't work for Ford. I simply made an investment in it and I expect a return. But I do render an opinion. I vote for the board and I can render some votes. Well, that's what we should do as our small business owner. Our primary function is to render an opinion, to give influence to the direction of the company, not work in it. And once you start owning a different label, a label consistent with how you should behave, we normally start acting consistent with that label. Mm-hmm. So as much as I love the word entrepreneur, it's my favorite word actually in the English language, I challenge people to no longer call themselves entrepreneurs. Start calling yourself a shareholder. And then the last element of the QBR, which I think is the QBR of Clockwork, which is important, is the concept of the QBR. Mm-hmm. It's called the Queen Bee role. There is a core function within every company, a core activity that is the pulse of the business. I derive this from studying beehives, and there's a singular function in beehives, which is the production of eggs that keep beehives surviving and thriving. We need to find what our equivalent is to the production of eggs for our business, the pulse of our business. Now, we don't have enough time to go into the details, but once you identify what that core element is, our job is to do everything to protect it, make sure it's being served. As shareholders in business, we shouldn't be the ones serving it, but we need to know what that core function is and make sure it always moves on unabated.
I love it, mate. And the rest of the book steps through how we can protect and serve that queen bee role, to capture systems, balance the team, know who you're serving. Fantastic elements. So if we can loop back now to fix this next, we've touched on, what we could do if we needed to solve profit, or what we could do to solve order and create a business that runs like clockwork. But how do we know where to start? Like we're, as health professionals, we love the diagnostics. We're all about, doing the assessment and analysis and working out where to start next. So how do we do that?
Yeah. So the action you take, I'll give you a short analysis. It is in the book. There's a 25 sequenced questionnaire I developed based upon the hierarchy of needs that will pinpoint where you reside. Effectively, I found there's 5 core needs at each level. So 5 levels times 5 core needs is these 25 questions to pinpoint where you are. But if you want to go super fast, how we can do it just in this podcast is simply this. Ask yourself, are we creating cash flow with some degree of consistency? If the answer is yes, you probably have addressed the sales level to some degree. Do you have some kind of predictability? Even though you may have spikes and slowdowns, do you at least have a sense of where it's going? If you do, you've achieved the sales level adequately. The next question is, do we have stability financially? Many businesses I've met here struggle here. They're not taking home profits. The owner's not making an adequate income. You probably have an issue at the profit level, and you need a profit system. Profit first may be your solution. There's other solutions out there, but we have to figure out a profit first system. Remember this, at any level as you go up, if the base level isn't big enough, it can't support a level above it. So even though you start achieving profitability, you may then realize, we need to actually expand our sales to further increase profitability. So you may cycle back down. Then at the order, if you have cash flow, if you have stability, the next question is the business running efficiently? And the acid test is, can you remove yourself for at least 4 consecutive weeks? If so, you've passed that level. Now you're cycled up to the next level. Next level is impact. Is your clients, it's the feedback that you're transformational. And this is something you'll see in the ethos. They're going on review sites. They're talking to other people saying, this experience with this therapist changed my life. Are you getting that without asking for it, but you're getting it naturally? Then you've hit the impact level. The highest level, which is permanence, legacy, is there intentional design within the business for the owner to be removed? And that at any time you can go away permanently, and the business continues to have its impact and actually grow in your absence. That is the ultimate definition. And again, as a reminder, this is not like a ladder you climb up and you sit at the top. We will cycle back down because the foundational levels continually need to expand to support higher levels. So as you climb and expand up top, you got to go back to the foundation and expand even more.
Thank you, mate. I'm putting myself in listeners' shoes and thinking, we're health professionals. We want to help people and make a real impact on the communities that we serve. Yeah. What's your advice to those business owners or clinic owners who are really fixated on impact and they want to create more impact first? That's where they want to go. Yeah. But yet they haven't solved the rest. What's your advice there?
Yeah. Well, I think it's necessary to have impact. And the only way to have impact is first take care of yourself. In the Fix This Next model, the business hierarchy of needs, there's 2 distinct phases. Phase 1 is that we need to get sales in the organization, we need to get profitability, and we need to get efficiency. Then we can be of great contributors. Many businesses try to skip those levels and just say, I want to serve, and they're sacrificing themselves, and it's not sustainable. Here's my final thought. Your clients actually are dying for you to achieve those first 3 levels. They want you to be wildly profitable and efficient. Now, your clients will never come to you and say, hey, I wish you would charge me more, or hey, can you rip me off, please? Of course, they'll never say that. But here's what they will say. When you're of service to me, I want your full attention. I want you caring for me. I don't want you to be distracted by considering the next client coming in the door because you need to roll more patients through here. They want your full attention. And the only way you can give them your full undivided attention and serve them the best is if you have financial stability, if you don't have to worry about the next patient, if you have that efficiency where you aren't being stretched everywhere to do everything. So your clients actually want you to first take care of yourself so that you can take care of them. So if you want to be of impact, listen to your customers and care for yourself first. They want your attention, And they can only have that if you are charging them fairly and appropriately to sustain yourself.
That's spot on, mate. I absolutely love it. Another distinction I'm interested in is that top level of needs is legacy. And
Yes.
when you refer to legacy, are you talking about my individual legacy or our company's legacy?
Great question. I'm talking about the legacy of the company. And I would argue all of us, yourself, Jack, myself, we all will have a legacy. The question is, how are we going to define it? You know, some people sadly have chosen a very malevolent path and have been harmful or criminal, and that will be their legacy. I believe that entrepreneurship offers us the greatest form of legacy, where we have an individual legacy, but we leave behind potentially a gift to be of service to others. And you can look at these companies that have existed on into eons, and you may be fans or not fans of them, but they've existed on because there's a community that embraces them. We have the ability and the right to do the same for our small business. It doesn't have to end with us. It can be of service, but we have to design it accordingly to live into perpetuity. My other thought around that, though, is it's not a necessity. You're not obligated to have a corporate legacy. That is a choice. And you may simply say, I have a business that sells well, it's profitable, and it runs efficiently. I don't care about the impact. I don't care about the legacy. I'm going to go golfing every day. And that's acceptable. That's okay. We simply define how far up we want to elevate through the business hierarchy of needs, and we can depart at any point.
Yeah, I love that, mate. And I think especially health professionals fall into that trap of thinking that, you know, I need to put my name on the shingle out the front and I'm the guru and patients need to come and see me. What if we could create a movement where clinic owners are thinking, what's the perpetual impact that my clinic can have without my two thumbs or without my specific skill set? It's incredible.
I think the greatest realization an entrepreneur can have, this is my interpretation, is the day we realize the business was never about us, that we were not owners of a business, we were simply stewards of a business. What I mean by this is that we had a responsibility to give the business life, but it wasn't about us, it was about the business being of service. And if we can get to that level of realization, self-actualization, whatever you want to call it, if we can get to that level, now we've positioned the business to live on forever. And I don't know if I myself, I say that, it doesn't mean I'm there myself. Right. At times I'm like, you know, this business is about me. I need to get the recognition. And other times when I see the impact some of the work I've done has, and people don't relate to me, I just see the impact. Sometimes that fills me with so much joy. I'm like, that is it. And that's self-actualization. So, and that's legacy. So I too am I'm flirting with that stage. I'm not there yet. I intend and hope to be there. I hope I'm mature enough to actually establish that.
One final question as we land the plane, Mike. We mentioned right at the start that we're not kind of biologically wired into our business.
Yeah.
And although Fix This Next is a brilliant resource, how do you find entrepreneurs are able to self-diagnose? And what role does a community or does a mentor play in diagnosing and then fixing businesses?
Yeah. Outside resources are perhaps the greatest resources I've experienced. I've been in masterminds and forums and communities of like entrepreneurs sharing their insights. And you know this, when someone's not in the business, they can see so much more clearly. Right. You know, it is so hard within our business to see what's in front of us. We are fraught with bias and emotion. I hired that person. I can't let them go. Right. And then from the outside, the person's like, they're devastating your company. They are cancerous to your organization. And we can't see that clearly. So outside people can speak a truth that we can't see. And I'm also a huge fan of mentors, coaches, experts who have a skill set in looking at a problem in a company, comparing it to all the other companies they've evaluated, and see a consistent issue and a consistent solution. So I believe we need to surround ourselves with others. Going it alone in entrepreneurship, at least for me, has not been successful. I surround myself with coaches and like-minded entrepreneurs.
Likewise, as do our team at CM. Mike, awesome. That's incredible. And I know there's a whole bunch of topics we've touched on there, from getting your profit system, whether that's profit first or otherwise, defining that queen bee role and making sure your business runs like clockwork, to diagnosing and working out what to fix next. There's so many practical takeaways. If people wanted to find out more about your books, more about yourself, where should we go? How do we take the next steps?
So the hub for my stuff is my website. It is MikeMichalowicz.com. And I shared this to you before we went on air. No one can spell Michalowicz, but everyone can spell Mike Motorbike. It was my nickname in high school. I got the domain a long time ago, thank God. So my nickname is Mike Motorbike, and it rhymes. And you can go there. And Mike Motorbike will bring you to my site. every book we discuss, plus my other books are there. There's free chapter downloads. I call them the impact chapters. Every book you'll get at least 2, maybe even 3 chapters to really absorb the concepts and use them. I also used to write for the Wall Street Journal. All my articles are up there for free, plus some other goodies at mikemotorbike.com.
So good. And listeners, we'll link that up in the show notes over at clinicmastery.com/podcast. If you need, you can always go back to that hub. Definitely recommend getting all of Mike's books. It'd be the best couple $100 you could spend for some winter reading as we head to our winter here in Australia.
Yeah.
Mike,
I'm actually coming down this winter to your place. So I'm coming down in, I think, July or August to Melbourne.
So good. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, brother. It's been a joy.
And listeners, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your honest reviews and ratings over on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher, wherever else you listen. Thank you for joining us for this episode, and I can't wait to bring you another episode of the Grow Your Clinic podcast again really soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Grow Your Clinic podcast. To find out more about past episodes or how we can help you, head to www.clinicmastery.com/podcast. And please remember to rate and review us on your podcast player of choice. See you on the next episode.